What's going on, guys? Cody from Motorcycle MD. Welcome back to a pretty basic, straightforward video. I bought a bike, and every year my family goes on a trip to a lake, to the woods, to the mountains, somewhere. I like to think that I can bring some fun to it every time. So this year, with my brothers and sisters, nieces and nephews all gathering in one location, they're all old enough to learn how to ride a bike, and I needed to buy one, so I did, and boy, did I have my work cut out for me. In this video, we'll be going over the bike that I bought, all the mistakes that it had, the issues, the things that needed to be fixed, and I only had about 24 hours to get it done before I left. 8 hours on a trip to Georgia. Well, this video pretty much wraps up everything that I had to do, besides a couple of few things that in the last minute had to get done. Couldn't shoot it. But sit down, relax, enjoy this video as I go through front to back everything that was wrong, everything that needed to be fixed and needed to be ordered, parts in general, to fully bring this bike back up to where it needs to be safe and reliable, and something I could trust to put my mother on if she wanted to. Every maintenance aspect is covered in this video, not necessarily teachable moments, but just a preview or showing what had to be done. I think you might get a kick out of it. I thought it was fun and a lot of hard work, but we got it done and it was awesome. So I hope you enjoy it, and if you need to learn more about how to maintenance your own bike, get things up to where they need to be to make it reliable and enjoyed, things that you can do and should be doing on a regular basis, in the description there is a link to a free course called the Wrench to Ride course. It's 40 plus videos on how to do the same. Enjoy it, it's totally free. Otherwise, I'll see you guys at the end. Enjoy. Alright, so, already seeing some questionable things, one of which the carburetor is not factory. It does run, I know that it runs, it does shift through all the gears. There's a spring holding this clutch arm up, which is interesting. The cable's there, unless the spring in here is broken and they didn't know what was wrong. Like the return spring for this. I think that the clutch pack adds to that, as well as a little dial spring on this. The clutch feels stiff. Go ahead and pop this off. Where's it attached to? Up here in the frame? There we go. It's a nice spring. Freaking trampoline spring. I don't know why they did that. I don't know if that was just out of preference. That is one stiff clutch though. There is zero free play in the clutch, which means they were running it way too tight. As you guys know, we're always looking for that free play, and that's tight. That's tight. We're always needing some free play in the clutch so we're not slipping it. I rode it, you know, but these are all things that I was just like, as I was riding it for a minute, I was like, okay, I need to do that, I need to do that, I need to do that. I'm wondering if the clutch felt healthy. I put it in 5th gear and lugged it down real big, but I don't know. I don't understand why they would have the spring. Because it wasn't like it helped it return back. You know what I mean? I knew that was going to be something weird when the post said 2000 XR. It's definitely not 2000. I knew it wasn't a 2000 when I went to go get it. The other thing that I noticed was it looks like they have the... Oh man, these hoses are so hard. So he has the crankcase breather plugged, which is the stupidest thing. He has the drain bowl plugged. Okay? Super common. He had the drain hose, and I thought it was the crankcase. I was like, thank God it wasn't the crankcase. So this is obviously leaking. Typical float issue. The gas is off right now, which is never a good thing, guys. If your float bowl is leaking, you don't plug the hose. I've seen people do some stupid crap. I've seen people run screws. I've seen people JB weld the overflow, which tells me that he likely ran the motor with gas in the oil. So let's see how high the oil level is. I put a hose clamp on that fuel line because I know the fuel valve's leaking too. Even in the off position. Let's see what we got. Oh, goodness. Nothing on a dipstick. Nothing. Oh, no. I asked him how long he had it for. He said 2 months, teaching his little brother how to ride, so I guarantee he did no work to it. Let's go ahead and drop this oil, get this crap out of there. That sucks. I can't even check the oil level. Let's get the oil in a container that we can see. Black as night. This was oil in it. Maybe a quarter or half, maybe half a quart low? Maybe. But there's oil in it. It's just old. Look at that. Doesn't smell like clutch, so that's good. It smells like just old oil. At least there's oil in it. I mean, it's thick. I'm happy with that. It was just barely off the dipstick. I could see a little drop on the tip of it, so that's good. Which is also good because it does not smell like straight up gas. And if your float bowl's overflowing, that's why people end up with gas in the airbox. They take the airbox cover off and gas spews out, or the oil level is extremely high. It's full. I looked at bikes that take the oil dipstick out and it literally starts pouring out of the motor because the level is so high in the motor because gas has flooded into the cylinder. Because once it overflows, it's either going to go that way or that way, and that's downhill right here. So it'll go downhill into the cylinder, wipe the rings, go past the rings, take all the oil out of the cylinder, and then go straight into the crankcase, and it fills that level of oil, and then you have gassy oil, and then that's how you ruin bearings, that's how you wipe the cylinder. All kinds of bad stuff can happen when that takes place, and unfortunately that's just the nature of carburetors. That's why you want to have a good float system. I really wish this carb was factory, but it's okay. Let's see what else we can find. It does run. I probably should have had a video of it running, but it does run. It fired up on the first kick. Sounded a little ticky. Maybe low oil, maybe needs a valve adjustment. I'm not too concerned with that. These motors are pretty easy to work on. Go and check out this front tire. Probably the original tire. Dry rot all the way around it. So we gotta get a new tube and tire for that. All the spokes are there on the front. We got some front breakage. That's good. We are missing the number plate, obviously. That's no big deal. Gators are decent. I don't know if it's leaking any oil. This one might be. I don't know. Let's take these up. See if the fork seals are leaking. We're gonna check the air filter out. Let's have a look at this rear system. Chain, sprockets, tire, and rim. I can tell right now this chain is Dunzo. Yeah, you hear that? I wonder if the rim's bent. So the tire is kind of like this right now. And it's rubbing on that one spot. I'm kind of curious if the rim's bent. Are these spokes loose? Oh yeah. There's a broken spoke. There's two. All the spokes are loose because they're breaking. 3, 4, 5. Oh, okay. So the rim's just not trued. Whew, okay. That's better. I'm okay with that. We can take that on the chin. I'm surprised that I didn't hear that. So we got like 5 broken spokes. We got to re-spoke it, re-true it up. When you do the spokes, unfortunately you can't just replace 1 or 2 of them with it all hooked up. You got to take it all the way down apart, back together again. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but we're okay. Definitely a new chain. The sprockets are slap wore out. Look at that. See how thin that tooth is? It's like it has a sharp point on it. We need front and rear sprocket and chain. I'm actually pretty bummed that this shot somehow disappeared. I don't know if I clicked the record button again and it's gone, but this air filter was the best part. That little gray piece is some kind of threaded PVC part, and there was a cone pod filter attached, wrapped in 2 layers of completely deteriorated foam. It was awesome. electrical tape to help seal it all up. We're going to be relacing this rim. What I also want to do is check the wheel bearings real quick. I can't spin it with my finger anymore. Okay, so we definitely need some rear bearings. Okay, good to know. We gotta do the front wheel, check those bearings out as well. This is sticking pretty bad. It's not even wanting to return. So we're gonna pop this off, clean this all up, lube the pivot there, so that we can get this thing to return some. It should be returning a little bit better than that. Have indicators here that allow you to line this up how it should be, because you can get this 180 out, and then this back here is supposed to tell you where it's worn on the back of the disc. Clean this thing up a little bit and get this thing off. This will have a master spline on it. If you look on the spline shaft, you'll see like one, almost like it's missing a spline. That's called the master spline. Look at that. I can't even move it. I want to hit this stuff up real quick. I don't feel like using little tools to clean all this out, so make quick work of it in the blast cabinet. Clean that up, clean this up really well. I'm going to go and hit this with some soapy water and the scrub brush and just get it in a bucket and get all this mud off. I'm going to hit this brake pad. Probably could have replaced. And give her a rinse. I'll be back. Me being who I am, I'm not satisfied with the way that looks. Even though it's cleaned up for the most part, I didn't get down in there, but it looks like some surface corrosion going on. And it just doesn't look very nice. So we're going to blast this whole thing, get all this oxidation, corrosion off of it. That's what it is, coming up underneath the paint. And we're going to repaint it, which is not a big deal to me because I'm also going to have that hub off of the rear wheel to do the spokes. So we'll just paint that with the same stuff so we keep some type of consistency with what the color of the black is. I just got back from the hardware store, picked me up some gray primer. I always prime stuff before I paint, and I picked up some semi-gloss, because the stuff on here, I've never seen them high gloss when it comes to the black. On these it's usually like a matte or a semi-gloss, so we'll do a semi-gloss just so we can kind of keep it consistent and looking somewhat original and get this thing looking real nice. I have a feeling when I go to blast this thing, there'll still be some texture on it. I don't want the texture, I want it to look as smooth as possible. So we may need to do a little bit of light sanding just to bring down any of the burrs and stuff like that, so we can make it look nice and smooth. And yes, I know it's overkill for an XR80. Shout out to Matt, HTMR, for this dope gun. I love it. He'd kill me if he saw how bad my lighting was. Alright. Got a lot of stuff that I care about. It's definitely textured. It's got some stuff where like rocks up in it, so we gotta smooth all this stuff out so it looks nice and clean. Alright, let's rinse it off, then I'll get to sanding. Alright, that's officially way too much time spent on a rear brake drum. Get it real washed off and scrubbed off with some soap and water. Let it dry. I'm going to heat it up a little bit and I'm going to hit it with some primer. While we wait for paint to dry, we gotta tackle this air box. This thing is nasty. All kinds of crud. It's gotta go. We need a nice clean intake track. the cleanest. Oh look, wasp! I got black fingernail polish on. A wasp nest. The funny thing is, I bought this from some teenage kid. Probably isn't old enough to drive. And here I am, 32-year-old man, cleaning up his junk. The thing is, you might think it's dumb to do this to a dirt bike, but to be honest with you, when it comes to cleaning them, it makes it a whole lot easier when it's not caked on crap. You can go for a ride, come back, take a hose, light pressure washer, and just rinse it off. You don't have to scrub it. It doesn't tend to stick to it as bad. The funny thing is, I always wanted a dirt bike. Growing up, it's kind of what got me into motorcycles. Could never afford any, and my father's excuse was always, there's nowhere to ride it. I mean, for a decade or more, begging. Just couldn't do it, which I understand. And he had a point. Probably just didn't want me off getting in trouble. Maybe saw the medical bills of doing stupid stuff when I was young, rolling through his eyeballs. But now I'm stoked to have a little toy to jump on and rip around the yard or whatever. Go camping with, get my girl on it, teach her how to ride. That's what it's all about. And when you love motorcycles, like I definitely do, if you can find a way to not only love them on the street, but love them off the street, in the dirt, you can ride them all the time, man. You can always have a reason to have a bike with you. So why not? I got all my parts overnighted for this. All my parts. I mean, it wasn't cheap, guys. I mean, even at my cost, chain, sprockets, fuel valve. I went the Honda Carburetor on it. So I got a Honda Carb, oil, front tire, tubes, rear tire tube. The rear tire is fine. I'll run that. It's not dry rotted at all. All the spokes, various nuts and bolts, new front number plate, the hardware for that, new clutch cable, because this one's real stiff. I mean, we're talking, with the price of overnight, we're talking $500 for an XR. Now I'm $1,400 into it. But if my calculations are correct, it should be good to go. You can enjoy it for a while. Don't feel defeated. I don't feel like I got ripped off. Obviously, could have spent a little bit of time looking at stuff, but once I heard it run and it shifted through all the gears, I know everything else is kind of frivolous things I'm not too concerned about, obviously because I can do them. But this just goes to show that you never know what you're buying until you get on the bench and start looking at it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Nothing teachable here, just experiencing what I'm experiencing in the moment. Be careful what you're buying. You never really know. Try to get the best deal that you can. And if you gotta fix it, well, fix it. But if you can, try to avoid trips to Home Depot to get PVC pipes to make things work. If you gotta do it, do it. But when it comes to dirt bikes, they get beat up. That's the life of it. This thing had 22 years of abuse. I'm expected to find something for what I paid for it. Which, if you're curious, was right around 800 bucks. Normally these things go for anywhere between $1,000 up to $2,000 in some cases that people are asking for them. It's kind of crazy for a little 80, but these bikes are awesome. I love them. And with the things that I saw when I was there on site, I was able to knock it down a couple $100, which I'm happy with. I don't care if he was or not, but he's got a wad of cash, and I got an XR, finally. If you enjoyed this video, if you like maintaining your own bike, be sure to check out in the description, there's a free course called the Wrench to Ride course, maintenance course, 40 plus videos, totally free for you to check out if you want to learn how to maintenance your own bike and take care of it, not have them end up like this. Until next time, Cody from Motorcycle MD, bringing you guys some quality tips and tricks for your next build or daily rider. See you next time. Later.